flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see...
shows you, the painful mourning period the president is experiencing.
Tenga and Sinclair and Nexstar are all, they own your local media. They own the local nightly news, and they're all conservative, very large numbers of local stations combined with another one that owns newspapers and TV stations, combining and basically going, this is a great way we can show our subservience to Donald Trump and the FCC, and we will use this as a threat to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel, and Donald Trump will look. And so that will approve the FCC, clear going through and everything.
You want to see what real independent journalism funded by the people for the people looks like?
You ever heard a story like this in America?
You're looking at it.
Congratulations for always being somewhere where mainstream media is not.
Flint, Michigan.
See you in Nevada.
Thanks to people like you, we can get the truth. Corporate media, they've been lying to us for years, and you're going straight to the people.
You are the man. I'm glad you're here.
For as low as 16 cents a day, you'll keep us on the ground, covering the important stories the corporate media covers up.
Hey, it's Jordan, joined by Zach Roberts, investigative journalist. You focused on a lot of right-wing extremism, particularly white nationalism. You've covered Charlottesville and a lot of the cancel culture crusade the right wing has been crying about for years. Yeah. And it seems like the times have shifted quite rapidly now in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, which we both condemn. Trump, the vice president, the attorney general, and pretty much the entire right-wing sphere online is trying to get people fired that are not sufficiently mourning Charlie Kirk or, quote, celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination, even if it doesn't seem they are. And now Trump's FCC chair, who is just a right-wing sycophant, basically threatened ABC's license yesterday, and ABC, in response, swiftly, indefinitely suspended, basically fired Jimmy Kimmel, which the whole political world is now on fire about. Yeah. Before we get to that, I just want to play so everyone knows what Trump said at his inauguration. He said this at his second inauguration.
They have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why?
Well, this is certainly a way of doing it. I'm sure folks have seen it, but just for reference, here is what Jimmy Kimmel said that was so objectionable and outrageous to the FCC chairman and all of the right wing. This was him, I believe, last week.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see...
shows you, the painful mourning period the president is experiencing. By the way, it should be noted, when Kimmel said that, it was before new details came out about the suspect or who's been arrested, Tyler Robinson, his roommate being transgender male, transitioning to female, them potentially having a romantic relationship. So at the time, indications were, or there was speculation that he was right wing, or that, he might have connections to the Groyper movement, which is Nick Fuentes' movement. So what he was saying at the time, it did seem like the evidence was going that way. Before Kimmel's firing, there was reporting that he was actually going to address that on his show with this new information. So it seems to me, I don't really know what was so objectionable about that. He didn't say anything celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, and he actually previously condemned it. And, basically, like most of the internet and a lot of people in the media, maybe prematurely ascribed the shooter's motives, but certainly not a reason to be fired. I think we are way past slippery slope. What do you think?
I mean, this, what used to be would be like a media, we always have these moments now that, that used to be a week-long media cycle. Like so-and-so says this thing on Fox, or whatever channel, and that's what we talk about in a week. And now it barely even gets a blip. Brian Kilmeade, one of the mainstay co-hosts of Fox and Friends, what I believe is America's biggest morning show, said that basically if you're homeless and refuse to basically go somewhere else, you should be given involuntary lethal injection.
They have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why?
And then followed it up again. They should just basically be killed. And so, like, that to me, and he just apologized. He gave the most scripted online or scripted apology, you could possibly imagine, where it's like, I'm sorry that it hurt people's feelings kind of thing. I still stand by it, basically. And like, that would be the thing. That's the show ender. Like, that's the thing you get at least a couple weeks off, if not fired from a show. What the entire monologue, which I've read a description of his quotes and everything like that from the whole thing, is basically just going on about how this kind of fake, prostrating at Charlie Kirk's death from all of these people that don't really care, and they know that they're using it as political points. Somebody made the comparison between the videos of North Korean mourners, crying and weeping and basically, the kind of the thing is, like, if you don't show enough sadness at the death of your, dear leader, you're going to be sent to a camp or something like that. I mean, this is what this has become. It was just like, no, we decide when they die, who are the people that you get to mourn over, and then who are the people we get to mock that they died, or, celebrate their death the way that they'd celebrated, George Floyd's death, and that, we can never talk about anything anymore. Anybody who dies that isn't a right-wing podcaster with an incredible amount of money and influence. And so, I mean, that's where we're going with this.
What I hope this shows, because I don't think Kimmel should have been fired, and I think this is a very beyond a slippery slope. We're moving off a cliff here in terms of free speech, censorship. But what I hope, maybe this wakes up some of the vote blue, no matter who people, some of the MSNBC, CNN audiences. Maybe it's a bad idea to have severe corporate consolidation, basically multi-billion-dollar corporate conglomerates hijacking all of our news and information systems, which started under, hate to tell you, Bill Clinton. Let me read about what the actual reason ABC fired him was. Following Carr's interview referencing the FCC chair, who went on with right-winger Benny Johnson and literally said, we could do this the easy way or the hard way, ABC, alluding to possibly going after licenses because of what Jimmy Kimmel said. Nexstar Media Group, the owner of several ABC affiliate stations, announced that it would stop airing the show, quote, for the foreseeable future. Nexstar strongly objects to recent comments by Kimmel, blah, blah, blah. Nexstar, one of the biggest station owners of the U.S., is currently attempting to complete a merger with fellow TV giant Tegna. The nature of the merger, valued at $6.2 billion, requires the approval of Trump's FCC and for it to loosen longstanding ownership regulations. These include federal laws barring a single entity from owning TV stations that together reach over 39% of American households. In English, translated, Zach, Nexstar, who wants this merger, basically huffed and puffed. They were going to basically take Kimmel off the air at its ABC-owned affiliates. And then ABC, what do they say? Huff and puff until you tear the house down. Yeah. Then ABC tore the house. It was a business decision, which is similar to what we saw when CBS fired or canceled Stephen Colbert.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And so, I mean, like what's terrifying is that you notice Tenga and Sinclair and Nexstar are all, they own your local media. They own the local nightly news, and they're all conservative. I mean, Sinclair certainly is. Nexstar is. Tenga is kind of more of a corporate entity, in my opinion. It's like, it will kind of change the, if it's in a more liberal broadcasting area, it'll do that. I could be wrong on that, but that's always been my vibe about them. As somebody who applies for jobs, at local news stations and things like that, when I look into them, that's the vibe I've gotten. And so basically this is basically a massively large, incredibly large media conglomerate that already has dozens, if not very large numbers of local stations, combined with another one that owns newspapers and TV stations, combining and basically going, this is a great way we can show our subservience to Donald Trump and the FCC, and we will use this as a threat to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel, and Donald Trump will love that. And so that will approve the FCC, clear going through and everything like that. And it's weird that these are now corporate decisions. I mean, we had Starbucks. I mean, like they've gone from like very serious to the most ridiculous. Starbucks, which there's been a bunch of viral videos of people going into Starbucks to basically say, what's the name on the order? And they go, Charlie Kirk. And like people are like, but that's not your name, and we can't do politics. Like that's kind of a standard corporate thing, which whatever, we can feel like people have used it for left and right. Those stupid, like they get basically Free Palestine called out, or they get, something completely not serious called out into, 10 people waiting for their coffee. And so they've been using that, making viral videos. And so now Starbucks has said that they will allow anyone to use Charlie Kirk's name on their order, which is going to be hilarious if you go into some like red states Starbucks and a Target, and everyone's order is Charlie Kirk, and they can't figure out whether it's, who's picking up this Frappuccino. So it's just the absurdity that kind of hides behind fascism, or covers fascism every single
another example you sent me actually was but Bethesda deletes Indiana Jones clip after accusation that it mocks Charlie Kirk. Following the launch of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle's new DLC, Order of Giants, Bethesda appears to have deleted an X post from September 14th featuring a clip of Indy getting a petting a cat and saying, "You don't care much about those fascists, do you?" Given the post proximity to the fatal shooting of conservative influencer Charlie Kirk on September 10th, some online took it to be a reference to the Turning Point USA founder. I mean, that's insane. That's insane.
I mean,
and the go ahead.
As I'm not a video game person, but this is actually one game I have been looking at buying once I figure out my system or whatever. But long before this, this is Indiana Jones, and he's somebody who should be kind of everyone's hero. Outside of the whole, stealing artifacts and putting them in museums and not leaving them with the people. Anyway, we can go on about that. Why are you offended by people saying to their cat, you don't really like fascists unless you're a fascist, unless you admit, kind of like really recognize and kind of embrace with that. Never mind the fact that this has been an Indiana Jones going after fascists and Nazis has been a law since the origin. It is literally the origin of this character. It's like suddenly deciding that Reacher, one of my favorite shows as well, Reacher is suddenly a 5'5", 60-year-old.
What I think, and most of the media is not focusing on this because the media that is outraged by this, CNN, MSNBC, all fall under this problem. Yeah. But to me, the real story here, yes, of course, there's an attack on free speech, full stop. With that said, there has been an attack on free speech and actually what is going on in America for 40 years, because starting with Reagan and then accelerated under Bill Clinton, hate to bore you, look up the 1996 Telecommunications Act. Basically, it allowed corporations to hijack our media systems. We used to have public funding of media in this country. We used to have, a fairness doctrine, equal time for both sides. We used to have news outlets that were not for-profit engines.
Yeah.
So CBS, NBC, ABC, their news divisions were considered a public service, and they actually were known as lost leaders. Yeah. They lost money, but sports entertainment was enough to make them profit. Yeah. But the deregulation in the 90s that consolidated, you had basically 6 multi-billion-dollar conglomerates owning all the TV stations, all the radio stations. That's now become even worse. I mean, I just want to read this to you. Larry Ellison, owner of Oracle, a friend of Trump, by the way, the billionaire Trump supporter who will soon own the news, from the New York Times. Larry Ellison is already a major stakeholder in CBS and Paramount. Now CNN, HBO, and a major share of TikTok are in his sights. If all goes as anticipated, this tech billionaire, already one of the richest men in the world and a founder of Oracle, is poised at 81 to become one of the most powerful media and entertainment moguls America has ever seen. Speaking of, he just overtook Elon Musk, I think temporarily, as the world's richest person. And the TikTok reference is, I don't know if it will go through, but apparently there's a sale where Ellison, the Andreessen Group, that's Mark Andreessen, who infamously just said, democracy is not a thing. Dictatorships have always been the way to go. They are going to own, I believe, 80% of TikTok. So I think the bigger part here is maybe this was never okay. Yeah. Or these billion-dollar companies, like, I don't know if Nexstar is, but Nexstar, you got Disney, big owner of ABC. Maybe that's the problem, that you have basically the news is always going to be suppressed. Yeah. You're not going to actually have stories on worker exploitation, environmental genocide, which is now becoming corporate sacrifice zones. Flint will be in the news and out of the news in 5 minutes. You're always going to have news that just checks the boxes and doesn't quite go past the line of the corporate owners. Your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's already been turning into, I grew up in upstate New York, where we used to have, channels 3, 5, and 9, different local ABC, NBC, CBS. They even went to, now it's just 2 channels, I think. I don't even know if it's that anymore, but it was 2 channels are literally sharing the same nightly news broadcast, which I just don't understand what the point is. Just put in filler then. Who cares? Why are you broadcasting the same thing? And so, then you watch, I very rarely watch local TV, like TV news, because, it's just basically pretending to be news. It's like telling you a version of what is going on, focusing on, special interest stories, local business openings, that sort of thing. Kind of like keeping this pretend idea that, if I watch the local news and I kind of read the headlines of the newspaper on my Kindle, then I'm informed. We have we have this perception where we're having all of these different media outlets, but especially on the conservative side, is that you have all of these in quotes, media people, whether it be them with a cell phone talking in their car, or whether it be them in a $1 million podcasting studio in Austin or in Chicago or whatever. But they're all kind of the same people, because they all realize the grift is outrage, is conservative outrage. And so sometimes the grift, we can sometimes pretend that we're poking at the bear, and kind of, going after Trump when it comes to the Epstein files. But it really, the moment we get a chance to back away and decide, Charlie Kirk, this guy that a lot of people on the right hated and did not trust, suddenly is their best friend, and suddenly represents, the left's, hatred of it, even though there's still very little evidence that this guy is anything but just the guy that killed him, that there's really anything, that he's just a far too online kind of guy that had too many access to firearms and played too many video games, basically.
Thank you, man. Zach Roberts, investigative journalist. Tell them about your organization.
I have a newsletter and a Patreon like everybody else. It's visu.news, visu.news. And I basically cover the far right. I do it usually visually, using photos and coverage. I cover things in person, just like you guys do.
I hope you are on a good antidepressant or whiskey regiment. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you so much.